And for more on the pulse of recruiting around the nation, let's bring in our director of recruiting, Steve Wiltfong. And Steve, we mentioned at the top of the show, five-star wide receiver Jeremiah Smith has an official visit scheduled to Florida. He also has an OV scheduled to Ohio State, where he's currently committed. So how worried should the Buckeye faithful be about this Florida trip, and what's his recruitment look like moving forward?
Yeah, traded some messages with Jeremiah over the weekend, talked to some other sources with knowledge of the recruitment. Look, this is a return visit to Florida, so the Gators have to be excited about getting the number one receiver in the country back to campus. He's hit it off with DJ Lagway, who told me earlier this spring, the composite five-star quarterback committed to the Gators, that he thought that UF was in the thick of it for Jeremiah Smith, and he felt good about Florida's chances. But I'll continue to say, until someone tells me differently, it is very hard to flip a receiver from Ohio State, not only because of the track record of player development at the position by Brian Hartline, and not only because of the offense that Ryan Day and his staff boast every year as one of the most explosive attacks in college football, but that Brian Hartline builds such meaningful relationships with his top targets. Him and Jeremiah Smith's family, they're in sync right now. They have a great rapport. There's a lot of trust and belief that Jeremiah can be the player that he wants to be at Ohio State, that's the next best step for him. I think it's going to be hard for Florida and any other program to flip him, but the Gators are obviously a program he continues to look at, and they'll get the first official visit June 2nd.
All right, we'll stick to five-star prospects here. Edge Jamonta Waller has several suitors fighting for him. Penn State, Ole Miss, Florida, just to name a few. What's the latest on his recruitment?
Well, I think you named the key ones right there. I think that Penn State is the program to beat going into these official visits. He loved his trip to Happy Valley earlier this calendar year. Linebacker U in his mind. Penn State views him as a second-level defender for them, a guy that can be versatile within a defense that Waller sees as one of the best in college football year in and year out under Coach Franklin. But the program that I'm watching that I think has the opportunity to make the biggest move coming into these officials is Florida. He's enjoyed his time in Gainesville, has really clicked with Coach Armstrong and Coach Peterson and that staff, and has got some friends committed to the Gators right now, and the trajectory of that program and location being in SEC country already. I think that Florida's a program I could easily see them grabbing the momentum as he goes through these official visits. Florida's locked in for June 16th. Penn State's the week before June 9th. I'm not discounting Auburn, Georgia, or Texas A&M. I just like where Penn State stands with Florida as the biggest challenger to the Nittany Lions lead going into these five officials.
And while Florida is trying to flip Jeremiah Smith, they did just land another receiver in 2024 in-state prospect Izaiah Williams out of Carrollwood Day in Tampa. What have Billy Napier and staff added with this commitment?
Well, one of the positions of need that I think Billy Napier and his staff locked in on when they just got to Gainesville was receiver. How can we get more explosive and get more big play guys at that position? And they instantly went into the portal when they got there. Receiver, thought they addressed some needs last cycle with some big time guys. And then here's Izaiah Williams in the fold. He's a fast, explosive athlete that Florida saw work out on Tuesday, committed him 3 days later. Now he's been injured, broke his collarbone as a junior, but we know he's a 4.4 guy, sub-11 speed in the 100-meter dash, an explosive jumps guy. Again, they saw him work out. He's got NFL pedigree. His father, Melvin, was drafted by the Saints. And so there's a lot to like about Izaiah Williams and his trajectory at the position.
And Florida also in the running for two defensive linemen. That's five-star David Stone and four-star LJ McCray. They have almost 40 offers each. So what's the latest in the Gators' pursuit of this duo?
Well, they just had five-star defensive lineman David Stone on campus. Our Blake Alderman caught up with him, and Stone had a really good visit. Look, they're trying to make a move on Oregon, trying to make a move on crystal ball favorite Oklahoma. Miami's gotten them to campus a couple times here this calendar year as well. But sounds like Florida has positioned themselves well for an official visit down the road. And then LJ McCray is a guy that's a major in-state target for Florida too. Him and his Daytona Beach mainland teammate Xavier Mincy, one of the top safeties in the land. And look, we talked about Billy Napier and the emphasis on receiver. There's also been a major emphasis on defensive line. And the Gators signed one of the best defensive line classes in the SEC last year. You know what that means, Grace?
What's it mean, Steve?
It means it was one of the best defensive line classes in the country as well. And they want to do that again this cycle. LJ McCray is a major target for them. DeAndre Robinson, I think Florida leads for him going into his official visit in early June. And then another guy that Florida absolutely loves out of the state of Georgia, Nasir Johnson out of Dublin High there. He is a guy that they've absolutely prioritized right now. And if you ask Florida defensive line coach Sean Spencer, hey, you can take McCray, you can take Robinson, and you can take Johnson and shut it down right there. I think they'd be extremely ecstatic with those three. And then they're certainly going big game hunting beyond that. We talked about David Stone. They're in the mix for Kyle Simmons, 5-star that visited this spring, going to come back with his mom for an official. They're swinging at Jordan Ross. They're trying to flip Dalen Evans from Texas A&M. Obviously have a good shot at local guy Kendall Jackson, but Florida in prime position for another special defensive line class, and they're trying to put together a great receiver class. TJ Moore is another guy that I think they're in a good spot for next to Williams.
All right, well, we'll stay in the SEC in these D-line classes with Tennessee. Kellen Lindstrom, the third D lineman Josh Heupel adds to his top 10 class, beating Oklahoma, among others, for his commitment. What are the Vols getting in Lindstrom?
Well, he's 6'6", 235 pounds, obviously a big frame with twitch. He's got strong hands at the point of attack. He's physical up front. He's got a lot of upside with his potential, and I think he's going to bring a lot of versatility to that front with what he could grow into.
The Vols also big players for a couple of 5-star prospects, D lineman Williams and Nwaneri and wide receiver Mike Matthews. Where does Tennessee sit with them?
Well, you look at the programs that Tennessee beat out for Kellen Lindstrom. They're going against all those heavyweights for guys like Williams, Nwaneri, Mike Matthews. And I think that Tennessee, when you look at the guys that are on their board, they have an absolute great chance to finish with a top 5 recruiting class. They're at number 9 right now. And as they head into the summer, I think they're the ones to beat for Williams Nwaneri right now. I think that they're at the top or near the top for Jordan Ross, Kamarion Franklin, Cameron Fountain. Those are also elite defensive linemen in this class. Those are 4 of the nation's best at the position, guys that can take a program from 12 wins to 14 wins. And I'd be shocked if Tennessee didn't land at least a couple of those guys. They're also bringing in 5-star edge Eliza Rushing for an official visit in June. So they're in on the right guys at the position. A couple more guys I like Tennessee for right now. Edwin Spillman at linebacker, Boo Carter at defensive back, 2 coveted in-state guys. Boo Carter's fresh off that visit to Colorado where the Buffaloes grabbed some momentum, but I'm still sticking with Tennessee there. And then Mike Matthews. He's the two-way blue chipper, guy that Tennessee loves at receiver. Tennessee near the top for him. Clemson and USC, 2 other mainstays for Mike Matthews. Alabama's recruiting him as a two-way guy, so that's intriguing for him. Georgia rounding out the top 5 there, but I think Tennessee's in excellent position for Mike Matthews as well.
All right, let's talk Colorado. And as we know, most of the storylines around the Buffs have been the magnitude of their work in the transfer portal. But quarterback commit Danny O'Neal, the headliner of the 2024 recruiting class, and Steve, you recently got to see him at Cathedral High School in Indy. How is he helping Coach Prime build what he hopes turns into a top 25 class?
Well, he's a guy that's in the middle of it, trying to help recruit some of Tennessee or Colorado's top target. You know, he's Styles Prescott, a 4-star offensive lineman from Indianapolis area. Colorado offensive coordinator Sean Lewis was in the Indy area last week. Saw Danny O'Neal, saw Styles Prescott. He's recruiting him. He's trying to recruit a Marion Stewart, trying to recruit Aaron Butler, Bronte Johnson, Amari Jefferson, Cam Michael, a few others. And watching him throw the football, this is one of the most accurate throwers of the football in the country. This is a guy that's going to come in immediately at Colorado and push that quarterback room led by Shedeur Sanders. The guy that's won a state championship on the high school level. I see the velocity and arm strength going up in Danny O'Neal every time I see him. He's always been accurate with the football, and he can also make things happen with his legs. High IQ guy, sees the field well. Big pickup for Colorado. He's one of their top guys at the position, and he showed why in that workout this week.
All right, and last one for you here. We got to cover some Big Ten. Iowa has a top 15 class, and you just put in a crystal ball, Steve, for them to land offensive tackle Will Nolan out of Arlington Heights, Indiana. Why do you have him leaning toward the Hawkeyes?
Well, he's visiting campus again this week and talking to sources with knowledge of that recruitment. Iowa looks like the team to beat, and wouldn't be surprised if he's one of the next guys in the fold. Our scouting department really likes him, number 22 offensive tackle in the country nationally. And this Iowa class is really loaded up on in-state talent. Right now, they have 6 of the top 7 players in the state committed. The guy that they covet moving forward, top 247 offensive tackle Grant Brix. He's the number 1 player in the state. Every program in the country is knocking on his door. It'll be full speed ahead for the Hawkeyes moving forward on guys like Grant Brix, cornerback Jalen Todd, who I think they lead for, receiver Patrick Clax out of Indiana, who I think the Hawkeyes are also the team to beat for. They're going to be tough to beat for KJ Parker and Eric Carner out of Immaculate Conception in Illinois. And they're also extremely high on former Wisconsin commit Austin Alexander from Illinois as well. So Iowa, no slowing down right now. Nolan and Grant Brix, 2 major targets at a position where we've seen Iowa churn them out year in and year out.
All right, well, there you have it, folks. The best recruiting intel out there, and you can only get it here with Steve Wiltfong on 24/7 Sports. Thanks for your time, Steve.